Welcome to Historian Diary. Today I will tell you a story about England, but this is not a story about love or romance. This is a story about sex, about a king's obsession with producing a male heir, about virginity trials in court, about bedroom failures that led to beheadings. This is the story of King Henry VIII and his 6 wives, and the sexual dysfunction, obsession, and violence that connected them all. My hand is trembling as I read these documents. Intimate letters describing the king's sexual performance, court testimonies about whether wives were virgins, medical records of Henry's ulcerated leg that made sex agonizing. Was it really about religion and politics? Or was it all about sex? Comment below where you're watching from, because what I'm about to tell you is documented sexual history. Henry Tudor was born in 1491. Young Henry was magnificent, 6 feet 2 inches tall, athletic, handsome, a champion jouster, the Renaissance ideal, and sexually confident, virile, ready to dominate. In 1509, his brother Arthur died. Henry became king at 17. He needed a wife. Catherine of Aragon was already there. She had been married to Arthur for only 5 months before he died. But there was a biblical problem. Leviticus 20:21. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is impurity. They shall be childless. The Catholic Church forbade it, unless the first marriage was never consummated. So the question became, did Catherine and Arthur have sex? Please like this video, because this question would define English history for 40 years. Catherine swore she was still a virgin. Arthur had been sick. They were young. She maintained until her death that Arthur never consummated the marriage. Pope Julius II believed her. He granted dispensation. Henry and Catherine married in June 1509. Henry was 17, Catherine was 23. But Catherine got pregnant 6 times in 9 years. Only 1 child survived, Mary, born in 1516. The others, miscarriages, stillbirths, infant deaths. Henry needed a male heir. In Tudor England, a daughter meant weakness. Civil war. The end of the Tudor dynasty. By 1525, Henry's sexual interest in Catherine had died. She was 40, past childbearing age, and Henry's eye had wandered. To Anne Boleyn was not conventionally beautiful. Dark-haired, dark-eyed, allegedly had a 6th finger and a mole on her neck. But she had been educated in the French court. She knew how to flirt, how to tease, how to promise without delivering. And she refused to become Henry's mistress. Her sister Mary had already slept with Henry and been discarded. Anne learned from that. She told Henry, marriage or nothing. Henry became obsessed. We have his love letters. 17 survive. They are desperate, sexual. In one letter from 1527, Henry writes about how he wants to kiss her breasts, how he dreams of her body, how he is in agony waiting for her. These are not the letters of a king. These are the letters of a sexually frustrated man begging for access. But Anne refused. For 6 years, she let him pursue her. She flirted, she teased, but she would not sleep with him, not until they were married. And Henry could not marry her, because he was already married to Catherine. So Henry did something unprecedented. He decided to annul his marriage. He claimed that because Catherine had been married to Arthur first, their marriage was cursed by God. That's why she couldn't give him sons. He petitioned the Pope. The Pope refused. Catherine was the aunt of Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, the most powerful man in Europe. For 6 years, Henry fought Rome. For 6 years, Anne Boleyn kept him sexually at arm's length. And Henry's frustration grew into obsession, into madness. Subscribe to Historian Diary if you haven't already. In 1533, Henry gave up on Rome. He declared himself supreme head of the Church of England. He broke with the Catholic Church. He dissolved monasteries. He executed bishops. He fundamentally altered the religion of an entire nation. Why? Because he wanted to divorce his wife and marry Anne Boleyn. Because he wanted sex with a woman who had refused him for 6 years. Henry changed England's religion because of sexual obsession. In January 1533, Henry and Anne were secretly married. Why the rush? Because Anne was pregnant. After 6 years of refusal, She had finally slept with him. In September 1533, Anne gave birth to a girl, Elizabeth, the future Elizabeth I. But to Henry this was disaster. Another daughter. Anne had 3 more pregnancies, all ended in miscarriage or stillbirth, including a male child in 1536. And Henry's sexual performance was failing. He was 45 years old, overweight. His leg had been injured in a jousting accident in 1536 and developed a horrible ulcerated wound that never healed. It smelled, it oozed, it made sex difficult. Court physicians documented that Henry was experiencing erectile problems, and Henry blamed everyone except himself. In April 1536, Henry decided Anne had betrayed him. He arrested her on charges of adultery, with 5 men, including her own brother. The charges were fabricated, but Henry embraced them, because they gave him an excuse. Anne was accused of adultery with 5 men: Henry Norris, Francis Weston, William Brereton, Mark Smeaton, and her brother George Boleyn. They accused her of incest. These charges were absurd, but Henry didn't care. He wanted Anne gone. All 5 men were executed, and Anne? On May 19, 1536, Anne Boleyn was beheaded at the Tower of London. She was 35 years old. She had been queen for 3 years. The night before her execution, Anne made a bitter joke. "I heard say the executioner was very good and I have a little neck." The next morning, a French swordsman cut off her head with a single stroke. Anne Boleyn dead, because she couldn't give Henry a son, and here's the grotesque part. The day after Anne's execution, Henry got engaged to Jane Seymour, a young woman who had been Anne's lady-in-waiting. He had been pursuing her for months while Anne was still alive. Jane Seymour was everything Anne was not: quiet, submissive, pale and blonde, the Tudor ideal. She married Henry on May 30th, 1536, 11 days after Anne's execution, and Jane did what Catherine and Anne could not. In October 1537, she gave birth to a son, Edward. Finally, a male heir, but Jane died 12 days after childbirth. Puerperal fever. She was 28. And Henry? He mourned her. He called her his true wife. Why? Not because he loved her more, but because she had given him a son. Success in bed meant success in legacy. For 3 years, Henry remained unmarried. Then Thomas Cromwell suggested a political marriage. To Anne of Cleves, a German Protestant princess, Henry agreed, but he wanted to see a portrait first. He needed to know she was attractive. Hans Holbein painted Anne of Cleves's portrait. Henry agreed to the marriage. Anne arrived in England in December 1539, and Henry went to meet her in disguise, a romantic gesture. He burst into her chamber wearing a costume. Anne, not recognizing him, was confused and cold. She didn't flirt. She treated him like a strange old man in a costume. Henry was humiliated, and when he saw Anne in person, he was disappointed. She didn't look like her portrait. She was taller than expected. She had pockmarked skin. She didn't speak English, and allegedly, she smelled bad. To Henry, she was repulsive, but the marriage contract was signed. On January 6, 1540, Henry and Anne were married, and that night, Henry attempted to consummate the marriage. And he couldn't perform. He told his physicians that he found her so unattractive that he couldn't achieve an erection. He called her the Flanders Mare, a horse. He was 50 years old, obese, with an oozing leg ulcer, and he blamed her. For 6 months, Henry tried to consummate the marriage, and failed. Finally, he annulled it. He claimed Anne was not a virgin. Anne wisely did not fight this. She agreed to the annulment. She accepted a generous settlement, and she lived quietly in England for another 17 years. She was the only one of Henry's wives to survive him, because she didn't fight him, and because she never had sex with him. Please like this video and share it. While Henry was failing with Anne of Cleves, he met Catherine Howard. She was 19 years old. Henry was 49. She was Anne Boleyn's cousin, young, pretty, flirtatious. He called her his rose without a thorn. In July 1540, days after annulling his marriage to Anne of Cleves, Henry married Catherine Howard, Henry was in love. Sexual obsession. He felt young again, virile. But Henry didn't know something crucial. Catherine was not a virgin when they married. She had a sexual past. Before meeting Henry, Catherine had been involved with Francis Derham, a secretary. They had a sexual relationship. They called each other husband and wife. In Tudor law, this could constitute a pre-contract, which would make her marriage to Henry invalid. Catherine had also been involved with Henry Manox, a music teacher, multiple men before the king, but Catherine kept this secret until she made a fatal mistake. She started an affair with Thomas Culpeper, a member of Henry's privy chamber. Young, handsome, everything Henry was not. They met secretly. We have evidence, letters, testimony. Catherine and Culpeper were having an affair while she was married to the king. In November 1541, it all came out. Someone informed Archbishop Cranmer. He investigated. He found witnesses. Catherine's sexual past, her current affair, everything. Henry was devastated. He cried in front of his council. The woman he called his rose had betrayed him, cuckolded him. Catherine Howard was arrested. So was Culpeper. So was Derham. They confessed, and Henry showed no mercy. Culpeper and Derham were executed in December 1541, and Catherine? On February 13, 1542, Catherine Howard was beheaded. She was 19 years old. She had been queen for 16 months. The night before her execution, Catherine requested that the execution block be brought to her cell. She wanted to practice, to lay her head on it, to prepare herself for death. She was a teenager, preparing to die because she had sex before marriage and then had an affair, because she could not satisfy a 50-year-old obese king with an ulcerated leg. Catherine Howard practiced her own beheading. If you've watched this far, thank you. Comment below, were these women victims, or did they have agency? After Catherine Howard's execution, Henry was broken. He was 51 years old, massively obese. His leg wound was so infected it smelled from across the room. He needed mechanical devices to move him. His sexual performance was non-existent. But he married one more time, Catherine Parr. She was 31, a widow twice over, educated, intelligent. And she did not want to marry Henry. She was in love with Thomas Seymour. But when Henry wanted something, you gave it to him, or you died. So Catherine agreed. In July 1543, she became Henry's sixth wife. Catherine Parr was different. She was not a sexual conquest. She was a nurse, a companion, a caretaker. By this point, Henry could barely move. He was in constant pain. Catherine took care of him. She managed his children, Mary, Elizabeth, and Edward. She ran the household, and she survived because she was careful, and because Henry died before he could turn on her. On January 28, 1547, King Henry VIII died. He was 55 years old. He weighed over 400 pounds. His leg ulcer was gangrenous. He likely died from the infection. Catherine Parr was the only wife to survive him. So let's review. 6 wives. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. But let's review the sexual reality. Catherine of Aragon, too old, couldn't give him sons. Anne Boleyn, made him wait 6 years. Then couldn't give him sons, executed Jane Seymour. Gave him a son, died for it. Anne of Cleves, he couldn't perform. Blamed her, divorced. Catherine Howard, he was impotent. She sought elsewhere. He killed her. Catherine Parr, he was dying, she was a nurse. Survived. This is the story behind the story. Henry didn't change England's religion because of theology. He did it because he wanted a new sexual partner. He didn't execute Anne Boleyn because she committed adultery. He did it because she couldn't give him sons and he was sexually dysfunctional. He didn't execute Catherine Howard because of moral outrage. He did it because she exposed his sexual failures. Henry's obsession with sex and sons cost England dearly. He executed over 70,000 people during his reign. He dissolved over 800 monasteries. He destabilized the English religious landscape for generations. Thousands died in religious violence, all because one man was obsessed with producing a male heir, with proving his virility, with controlling women's sexuality, while failing in his own. Subscribe to Historian Diary for more investigations into the sexual politics of power. Write in the comments, was Henry a victim of his time, or a monster who used religion as an excuse for violence? Henry VIII, 6 wives, 2 beheaded, 2 divorced, 1 died, 1 survived. All 6 were pawns in one man's sexual obsession. His need to control, his need to dominate, his need to prove, despite all evidence, that he was still virile, still powerful. The evidence suggests otherwise. His erectile dysfunction, his infected leg, his obesity, his inability to satisfy his wives. His medical records detail blockage and retention and corrupted matter. In modern terms, chronic infections, possible syphilis, diabetes, vascular disease. A man whose body was failing as catastrophically as his marriages, and the women paid the price. Catherine of Aragon exiled, Anne Boleyn beheaded after making him wait 6 years, Jane Seymour dead from giving him what he wanted, Anne of Cleves divorced for not arousing him, Catherine Howard beheaded for being 19, Catherine Parr surviving by being useful rather than sexual. The sexual politics of Henry's court were brutal. Wives were tested for virginity. Court physicians examined them, testified about hymens and consummation. Women's bodies were public property. Their sexual history was legal evidence. Their fertility was political currency. And one man's erectile failure became 6 women's tragedy. Thank you for watching Historian Diary. This is history, sexual history, the kind that shows how power, sex, and violence have always been intertwined. How a king's bedroom problems became a nation's nightmare. How women's bodies have always been battlegrounds for male ego and political ambition. King Henry VIII, 6 wives, and a legacy written in blood, sex, and failure. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Remember the rhyme. But remember what it really means. 6 women, 1 tyrant, and the sexual obsession that changed England forever. See you next time.